Go.
Today we'll be talking about the Temple of Nike at Athens, located in the Athenian Acropolis. Its geography is a generally mountainous region with four large mountains: Mount Agaleo, which is to the west, Mount Parnitha to the north, followed by Mount Penteline, which is also in the north, and then Mount Hymettus is then to the west. Athens is set in kind of a plain-like setting with a large plateau in which Acropolis is located, and then a mountainous region which surrounds Athens. So here you can see in the picture, Athens is set in the Attica Peninsula, which follows out into the Aegean Sea and the Ionian Sea from the west. This picture also shows how the mountainous region goes around Athens, and how Athens is set down in more of a valley and kind of plain-like setting. And here, which is where the Acropolis is located, would be the plateau. And here in this picture, it shows a more intricate view of the mountains coming from, say, a hill set in the plains over Athens, and the mountains set in the background. So the geography of the Acropolis is, like I said, is elevated on a plateau in Athens, Greece. This allows to give you kind of a distant view over Athens and the sense of hierarchy, say for an invasion or somebody coming to attack, which then brings in how it is a naturally fortified structure, which has high walls of fortification. However, the Temple of Nike is set lower down, which makes it vulnerable for another attack. So here's the picture. It kind of shows, say you were set on the top of the Acropolis. It gives you a great view of not only the water, say if there was a naval attack, or the rest of the city, which is set below, and it gives you a great view and kind of protected from the rest of the city. So now we'll talk about the Temple of Nike Athena located in the Acropolis. It's on the southwest region of the polis at the southern tip. So when you regard the architecture compared to the other structures within the Acropolis, the Temple of Nike was much smaller. However, it provided a great deal of protection for the southern tip because, again, it was set lower in a more vulnerable position. And regarding the art of the Temple of Nike, it had several relief sculptures and a frieze that was very intricate in different designs, as well as using traditional orders, Ionic and Doric, of that classical time period. So here this picture shows the Temple of Nike is located here on the southern tip. Compared to the rest, you see the high walls along the rest of the Acropolis, which would generally make it harder for an attack if there was an invasion. So again, you focus here, set lower, it makes it much easier for attack, and that temple there provided protection. So here's a digital photo that shows just kind of the frieze, and it shows what it may have looked like during that time. You see the columns showing Doric and Ionic order, the classical time period, and then this picture here shows as it is today. Similar columns intact, however the frieze is set differently. I mean, the east frieze, when you look at this, depicts gods and goddesses. As you walk around, there's different designs and different things going on within the frieze. And besides the west, the rest is depicted as wars, including the Peloponnesian War, etc.
The Temple of Athens at Athena was built over an earlier 6th century temple to Athena, which was demolished by the Persians in 480 BC during the Persian War. Pericles was only a teen when the Acropolis was destroyed by the Persians, but by 450 he was the recognized leader of Athens, and he had a plan to rebuild the Acropolis. So how was this extravagant project paid for? Pericles converted the Delian League, an alliance between Greek polis to protect against Persian threat, into an Athenian empire. Tribute would be paid to Athens, and instead of surplus reserves being expended for the common good of all Greek polis in the alliance, the money was actually used to fund Pericles' grand plan to create an elaborate acropolis for Athens, including the temple of Athena and Nike. There was some domestic criticism within Athens because Athens is a democracy. Some politicians denounced both the extravagance of the project and the immorality of using allied funds to finance it. But Pericles argued that their allies were paying for protection, and as long as that was assured, that Athens can use the rest of the money to do whatever they want. So in 427 BC, they started the construction of the Temple of Nike. This was 2 years after Pericles' death, and it was constructed from white marble, and it was built in stages as wartime funding allowed, because this was during the unrest of the Peloponnesian War. The actual building of the temple was completed in 424 BC, but sculptors worked on it until about 410 BC, when the famous carved parapet was completed, which was a fortification wall around the temple, and this was to express the determination and hope for final victory. And the building was called Nike Athena, which means victorious Athena. So this all shows how this temple was expressed the determination for victory. The temple was attributed to Nike, the goddess of victory, and Athena, the city's patron goddess. The temple was dedicated to Athena, who's the bringer of victory. So Athenians hoped to show the dedication to their goddess would persuade her help for them to defeat the Spartans. The temple of Athena was a small but important part of Athenian worship. The temple's small size was compensated for its position. The temple rested on an outcrop, positioned so the Athenian people could look up and worship the goddess of victory in hope of prosperous outcomes for the war's endeavors. But as we all know, that whole worship was in vain, since the Spartans defeated the Athenians.